during the time with the Australian cricket team, I wanted to do something in the one-day arena. Admittedly, we had won a World Cup by that stage and there was another one coming. But I wanted to do something in that arena because I just believed we should. You know, we had incredible players and I think incredible support staff and enough resources to make it happen. So I said to them, right, well, we want to be the first team to make 400 in a one-day international cricket game. No other team had done that. And so, as I say, I mean, there might be a little bit of resistance, but generally, when you say to people, we're going to be the first at doing something, unless it's threatening their lives, then most people come on board. So all the guys say, yeah, we're in with you, mate, we'll be there. So a little while after that, they then come back and say, but hold on, coach, how's this going to happen? Because right at the moment, you know, our top score might have been 340 or whatever in a one-day game. And you're asking us to make a further 60 runs when we're doing everything we possibly can now. How is this possible? Well, then it was time, as I say, as a leader manager, coach, if you passionately believe in something, then you've actually got to fight for the cause. You've got to show people how it can be done or why it can be done. Firstly, why it can be done. So I went back into our data and said, well, look, you know, there's 300 cricket balls in a one-day game, and when you're going at your 1,000,000 miles an hour, you're actually using only 150. In other words, whenever we made our top score, and there are 300 cricket balls, we only managed to score off 150 of them. So there's basically 50% of the balls that we weren't using, right? So then I go back to the guys and say, hey guys, if we actually just use even 10% of these balls, we're going to be a big chance to get there. I said, yeah, right, okay, we'll do that. Okay, so then they come back a little while later and say, but hang on, we're just using all the shots that we've got. I mean, how do we get to these other 10%? So then, again, you have to work out how you approach this, but for me, it was about saying, well, let's get back to some of our basics. Just some of our basics. And in cricket, and when you're batting, there's something called running between wickets. So I actually showed them how bad we were at running between wickets. Really bad. In other words, we couldn't run in a straight line for a start. And you go and watch cricket now. If there's one thing, whether you like cricket or you don't like cricket, next time you watch a game televised and they have the camera up and down the wicket, you would think that as an international player, with the barest of smarts, it suggests the shortest distance from A to B is that way. Well, you have a look next time. And then, not only that, they would then do the Queen Mary turns a lot of times. So they had no idea of actually turning. Some did, some didn't, or most didn't. So fundamental. Let's get that right. Let's get that right, and we will be able to, even if we don't use 10%, we will actually be able to score off more balls or score more runs off the balls that we're scoring now. Or we'll be able to challenge some of the field so we can get through on some of the balls we weren't scoring. Beauty, so we started to do that. Really interesting story. I was, again, with Adam Gilchrist at a function the other night, and it's still a story that sticks in his mind, as well as mine. But we were doing this, and I brought in an expert to help us out. At the time, Dean Jones, who he can get off on a lot of tracks, Dean Jones. But if you can keep him on the one track, he's got some really good things to say. So running between wickets, he was very skilled at. And the ability to get up and down in a straight line and get in and out of the crease, fantastic. So that's what I got in to talk about. And this was in the lead up to a one-day series. So about 2 days later, we're at the MCG and can't remember, it might have been the West Indies, can't remember now. And first over, Gilly sort of gets one down to third man and charges up, in, out. It's brilliant, but has to dive to get in because he nearly ran himself out. About 3 balls later, another fly ball, runs, back, run out. First over. Comes into the dressing room and I'm watching and then eventually, because Gilly's a pretty quiet sort of guy most of the time, pretty reserved, gets out, fair enough, that happens. Makes 100, okay, that happens. But this time he just threw his gloves down, threw everything down. He says, the last time I listened to you, coach, all I could think out there was about running between wickets. I didn't know anything else to do. I could run out. So I thought, like at that time, it's not the time to actually explore this a little bit further with you, But nonetheless, and Gilly was one of my obviously strong supporters. But as leader, manager, coach, if you believe that that's what's required and important, then you've got to find a way to make sure that that continues to happen. Fortunately, he did come down and didn't get run out again in the series. But he just chose to hit 4s and 6s after that. So we dealt with the basics, and then some players gradually began to explore their shot making. And within, I can't quite remember, it might have been within about 9 months or so, we ended up being the first team to make 400. Now this is again where I go to the cricket aficionados in the room to ask which was the second team to score 400 in international cricket. Brett knows. South Africa. Same game. And we got beaten. So by about by about 2.5 hours, we were the first team to score 400 in international cricket. South Africa beat us. We made 434, they beat us, so run it down. It's an amazing game, absolutely amazing game. That's another story. One, we achieved our picture, if you like, but two, there was still a game to play, which we forgot about somewhere along the line.